The third method we're going to look at today is solving using square root method. So the first thing that we need to understand is that when we take a square root, so for example, square root of 36, I'm looking for the number that you can multiply by itself to equal 36. So you could say that your answer is 6. However, just like with absolute value, we don't know if the number inside that square root was multiplied positive times a positive or negative times a negative, because either of those would yield a positive answer. Just like when we take the absolute value, it yields a positive answer. So I don't know if this was 6 times 6 to give me my 36, or negative 6 times negative 6 to give me my 36, because both of those equal a positive 36. So anytime we take the square root of a value, we're going to have to say plus or minus that number, meaning the answer could be positive 6, it could be negative 6, we don't know. So when we are solving by square roots, this is just solving like we would use our normal order of operations. Remember, I always tell you that when we solve for a variable, we work bottom up. So we're going to move any addition or subtraction first, then move on to multiplication or division, exponents, and parentheses. Okay, so here I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. And when I do that, I get x squared equals 49. So I've done my add subtract. There's no multiplication or division. So I need to take care of this exponent. So to get rid of a square, we take the square root of both sides. So here's what I was talking about. When we take the square root of 49, I know that 7 times 7 equals 49, but negative 7 times negative 7 also equals 49. So we would say that our answer is plus or minus 7. And then the square root and the square cancel out, and I'm left with an x. Okay, so what that means, if I were to check my work, I could plug in a 7 for my x and get 58. So 7 squared is 49 plus 9 is 58. Or I could plug in a negative 7. Negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49 plus 9 equals 58. Okay, let's look at example 2. So remember, we're working reverse order of operations, bottom up on our totem pole. So I need to move any addition or subtraction, none. Need to take care of any multiplying or dividing before I take the square root. So you can't just come in here, square root to 9, square root to a squared. We're going to have to first multiply or divide. So I'm going to divide by 9 on both sides. A squared equals 1. And then I get to take the square root of both sides. So I'm left with a. Square root of 1 is plus or minus 1. Now, be careful when you type this into your calculator, because when you type square root, most calculators are just going to give you the positive value. So you don't want to rely too heavily on that and cause yourself to miss half of your answers. Okay, here we're going to start with adding 4. That zeroes out. P squared equals 18. When I take the square root of both sides, I get P equals, I don't know the exact square root of 18. I know that 4 times 4 is 16 and 5 times 5 is 25. So I know that it's between 4 and 5, but I don't know exactly what it is. Now, we will be talking more about how to simplify square roots in our lesson on your next class period, but I know that 18 can be written as 9 times 2. So I have the square root of 9 times 2. Square root of 9 is 3. So I can bring a 3 out and have a square root of 2 underneath. Okay, we took the square root of 9, so this is going to be plus or minus 3 square root of 2. And like I said, we're going to talk more about how to simplify square roots during your next lesson. So if you want to leave this as square root of 18, you can, since we don't know the exact square root. But if you remember from previous years how to simplify, go ahead and do that.